my question is, what about anger when it goes overboard? For instance, this particular son has been very angry a lot of his life, or impulsive, and causing situations which have been set up and supportive for him to constantly be turned over, upside down. He's currently in jail. This is his third time. He's only 17. And for myself, what about choosing not to live with that extreme sort of a violence creation, vibration anymore, even if I am the mother?
Well, we are not encouraging you to feel obligated to hold yourself in close proximity to things that feel bad to you when you do. But what we notice about most mothers is that even if you move your physical person away, your thoughts continue to go there. It's hard for you to separate yourself emotionally or mentally from your own children. And so this is a very good example of a situation where it is important for you to try to train your thoughts into a place that feels better to you. And you see, the thing that's tricky about this is, as you began with us here today, you wanted to talk about your past, or even now you want to talk about how things are relative to this. And we know it is really the human tendency to face reality and accept it as it is, and then present it as a sort of package of now, or package of how things are.
Well, I'd like to find a way to deal with it so that he can create in his life what he wants and can be happy with that, and that I can also be happy with mine.
Well, there are so many things that we want to give you, and there are so many different perspectives from which to view this. Always when we visit with someone about someone else, we want to remind you that he is not here, so we are not speaking with him. And if we were speaking with him, we would explain what we've been explaining to those of you who are here. We would explain to him that the anger that he has been feeling is a sort of knee-jerk response. It is something that is innately coming forth within him because it is a coping mechanism for the disempowerment that he is feeling. And we would also explain to him that while there is no judgment from us about the anger that he has discovered, that unless he chooses the anger deliberately, then the anger does not serve him because he does not regain any of his power. Mm-hmm. We wanted to say to you, as you were talking about what to do about the anger that goes overboard and how much more it becomes, we want to say that if you are deliberately choosing it, and you are choosing it from the criteria of it feels better than how I felt before, then the anger will not get worse and worse. It will become less and less because you're reaching for the criteria of something that feels better, and you're leaving behind what doesn't feel so good. But if you are not deliberately choosing it, if it's something that's just happening to you, and then you are having to then deal with the repercussions of your anger, then what happens, as we've described already, is that you're moving back and forth from that despair to anger, and not very much improves. So the different standpoints that we're wanting to talk with you about this are mostly just two. We would like to speak to you as if we were speaking to your son, and we would like to say to him that while you are not in the place that you really choose to be, you are exactly in the place that you have created. And we don't say this to you because we're wanting to add to the humiliation or the punishment of the system by saying, well, now see, you deserve this, here you are in jail. What we really mean by that is whatever you are living is always the byproduct of the vibration that you are offering. And even in this environment of absolute confinement, you can begin exercising vibrations that are more freedom-based, and you can bring yourself back into alignment with who you really are. Now, we're not going to spend much time talking to him because he's not going to hear us right now, and it will be hard for you to convey to him in any meaningful way something from us. Now we want to speak to you about this. We want to say to you that it is important that you decide, as a result of what you've been living here, what you want to feel relative to this or any other subject. And it's important for you to begin training yourself into thinking thoughts that feel better for you. We know that what usually happens to a parent who has an extreme experience like this with one of their children is that you begin to feel some level of responsibility. And then at some unconscious level of your being, then you try to cast off that responsibility by finding some blame of someone else, maybe the system or even your son. And that's mostly what we are feeling from you here today. And we would like to try to find a way to soothe your sense of feeling discomfort about explaining where you stand or where you stand in relationship to where your son stands. In other words, we want to convey to you, maybe it will only reach you vibrationally, maybe you can hear it as Esther is finding the verbal words, but we want to say to you, this really does not matter very much. In other words, it really does not have to be the big thing that it feels like to you. It is not a statement of your failure, and it's not a statement of his failure. It isn't a statement of anybody doing anything very wrong. It's not a statement of a breakdown in society. What it is, it's just where two people are standing based upon what they've been giving their attention to, and it's just a path along the way. And until you soften all of that and just make it a path along the way, then it's not going to improve in any extreme way for either one of you. So you have to make peace with the idea of it first. And we
Good.
know, when do you tell everyone you know that you meet that your son is in jail?
No, I don't like to. There's no reason to go into it.
But do you think that you wake up every morning and say to yourself, "My son is in jail"? In other words, is it a big part of the vibration that you are emanating?
Well, I think, oh well, he's done it again, and I've tried to help, and he's had things in place, and I guess it's not doing any good, and I guess I'll just sort of let it go and back out of it because he's creating this, and it's not my experience, it's his.
Well, if that were really what you were feeling, then we would be talking about some other aspect of your life when you have this opportunity to visit with us. In other words, this is something that's very big in your vibration. And the thing that we really want you to hear, everyone to hear, is that these things that feel like main events in your life experience are big vibrational players. And so lots of other things that begin to happen in your experience are influenced by these big events that are the reason that you offer much vibration. So the reason that we talk in terms of finding a way of relaxing in a situation like this and coming to the place where you speak about it in softer terms, vibrationally. We would like it to be not much more significant than where you ate dinner last night, or not much more significant about what you had for lunch today. In other words, it's part of your experience, but it's not a big vibrational player in your experience. Mm-hmm. And once you've had an opportunity to focus on other things and make them the stronger components, and what we mean by that is you can't stop thinking about something just because you've decided you're going to stop thinking about it. You have to replace what you're thinking about with other things. And we would encourage you to try to distract yourself from this to the point where you've really sort of played it down in your energy for a week or two or maybe 3. And once you can actually wake up in the morning and that's not the first thing that comes to your mind, then you can begin moving up the emotional scale relative to this yourself. We're not going to take the time here to do it because we think you understand how to do it, and you really need to do some other things first before you will be able to easily move there. But here is some criteria that will help you know when you get there. You will find yourself thinking about this person who is in jail in a new framework, even from a past framework, or maybe in a future framework that's different from what you are feeling now. You are literally going to find yourself creating a new personality called your son with whom to interact. And the way you're going to begin doing this, and as we said, we would not start it for 2 or 3 weeks. In other words, once you've had a chance to sort of bridge into some other things so that it's not such a big player in your vibration, then come back to this subject. And begin by making a list of the things that you remember from early experience that you appreciated most about this person. And what you're literally going to begin to do is to rebuild your vibrational relationship with this person. Now, some might think that we're teaching you to do this so that you can then positively affect his experience. That is not our reason at all. What we're wanting you to do is to recreate a vibrational relationship with this person that is very important to you so that you can have more stability in your point of attraction. Now, some might say, well, Abraham, you're really not counseling this mother in a way that's going to be very meaningful to her child. And we say, that's because she does not have any power in what he is creating. In other words, your power of influence is strong once you reconnect fully with who you are. But we could talk about a whole lot of other subjects, which would be a strong basis for you reconnecting. And when you turn back to start thinking about your son, just as we were talking about going home, you would begin to then reactivate within yourself the vibration where you last left it. The best way to say that is your vibration on every topic is where you last left it. And you have not felt very much control in your vibration about this person. You feel that your vibration about this person is what it is because of what he has been offering. That's what you just said to us when you said, oh, well, I've tried these things. This is just the way it is. He's the creator of his own reality. And so now we want to begin talking about how, as a co-creator, can I co-create a reality with someone that's different than the reality that they seem to be creating? And this is something that we really want you to understand that you can. You can do. You can go back and rebuild the precepts of your relationship by choosing things that feel good to you as you choose them, and you will begin to reactivate a different part of the personality of this person with whom you have formed this relationship. And your relationship with this person will begin to vibrationally change. And you will know that it's happening because you will begin to feel better and better and better and better as it changes. And then your power of influence with this person will come into effect. But we don't want you to focus upon the way your work influences someone else. We only want you to focus upon how much better you feel as you rebuild this relationship. So then someone might say, well, Abraham, you not only teach selfishness, you teach delusion, because here's this person who is in jail and having his responses to being in jail, and you are encouraging his mother to ignore the reality of that altogether and to manufacture a new personality that just makes her feel better when she does it. Why would you do such a thing? And we say, because your happiness depends upon what you think, not what your son does.
Right.
And as many times as you hear this, most of you just give lip service to the idea of that, but what you really are feeling is, people die, how unfair. People go to jail, how rotten of them. How dare they mess up my life by not being the happy people that I prefer them to be? And we say, you got to reach the place where your happiness does not depend upon what your parents do or what your children does. Your happiness depends upon your ability to focus in a way that keeps you in alignment. And in time, you will be like so many of the great masters. You will be able to behold someone, view them in their utter disconnection, in their utter manifestation so far from where they want to be, and you will not be impacted by their temporary, that's the key word, by their temporary state of being, because you will have contracted with your connection, and you will maintain your alignment with who you really are, and then as you hold them in your gaze, they'll feel loved despite their condition. And that goes further than all other things put together in whatever healing process is
Right.
necessary for
Well,
them.